Good morning, YouTubers. This is Edward, the Golden Palace Swimming Pool and Tower. An 88-foot tower. Observation deck on the top. Then the first room on the top is the bar. Then my office. Then 2 rooms, guest rooms. Then the open concept with the a propane fire pit in the center, right next to the pool. So, good morning to everyone. I'm just sitting poolside this morning, enjoying the beautiful sunrise. It's about 81 degrees, almost 7:30 a.m. Just sitting here having a sip of my tea. I got this tea from Beijing at the Forbidden City in China a few years back. I haven't busted it out until just this year because I used to drink coffee all the time, but coffee's so hard on my system as I got older. I drank coffee all my life, love it, but I rarely drink it anymore. Tea is much more calming effect, depending on what tea you're drinking, but green tea's probably the best for your health, so derivatives of green tea is the ticket. Anyway, the crew, 4-man crew, are working some of the coconut plantation today up on the north end, and they're repairing a fence line those last couple days and today. Then they won't get started for the actual coconut harvest till tomorrow. So I'll make a run up there at the 4-wheeler and we'll do some videos up there the next couple days. Today I have an appointment that's been postponed a couple times now for the cleaning crew to come and clean my air conditioner. They do a good job, and plus I'm calling them out this time because they need to recharge the Freon system. I've never done that now. It's been almost 4 years. I've never had to recharge it, but it seems to start getting a little bit weaker over the years. So I'm gonna have them put some more Freon in it just to charge it up a little bit so it'll be more efficient. I did some more putting caulk or sealant around all the windows and doors yesterday just to be sure. It was pretty tight, but I found some cracks here and there. That's one thing you got to do every once in a while for if you have air con. So there's the fish vendor. You can hear him in the background with his. They come by, fish vendors come by every morning and throughout the day, 2-3 different times, selling fish, because that's one of the big things here. The Filipino people love fish, and plus it's inexpensive, so that's a good deal. We get some every once in a while. And one thing I've been thinking about this last day, was watching one of the other foreigner bloggers from the Philippines. I forget the guy's name, but there's quite a few bloggers in the Philippines now, giving you tips, and just like I do, giving you tips and sharing their situation with foreigners planning on coming here, staying here in the future. One of the things that he brought up was how Filipinos are so violent, and they're violently injuring their foreigner partners. That happens all over the world. I mean, I agree that violence is absolutely not acceptable of a man punching a woman, but it should be the same way where a woman should not be punching the man. But don't fool yourselves. This kind of thing happens throughout the world. I don't care what country you're in. Philippines or America or Europe or Australia, New Zealand, it doesn't matter. That the domestic violence happens. A lot of times it's because of taking drugs or alcohol. That happens a lot. So don't fool yourself out there. Just know that it's every single family, every single relationship's different. Of course, we all know that. And but the bottom line is, I agree, physical violence to punching a woman, unless she has a knife or a gun trying to kill people or kill you, well, then she should be treated as a man. Then it's allowed to, if at the last resort, to use violence to stop it. And I mean, I don't like the situation. Nobody does, but that's just the truth of it. There has been, I've read since I've been here, there's been Filipinas that's even killed their foreigner partners. So I'm sure it happens, Filipina to Filipino man too. But you know what? It's very rare here. You'd look at the statistics of the Philippines to other countries, and the U.S., the violence there is 100 times more than what the Philippines is. I guarantee you that. Do your own research. The violence is way higher in the first world countries. There is an element of violence wherever you go. I don't care where it is. So just keep that in mind. And you know what? All this of, you should live with your partner for several years or at least a year before you make a decision. That's all your own choice. My last two marriages, my first marriage, knew my girlfriend for probably 4 years, and we lived together before we got married. And that ended in a divorce after 7 years and 2 children. And then my second marriage lasted 16 years, and my wife died of cancer. And then now I'm on my third marriage after 8 years. We're still married. We're still happily married. So there's going to be ups and downs. I don't care who you are, where you are. It's just the way it is. And anyone saying any different is lying to you. All relationships, up and down, all the time. But that's where discipline comes in. If we just reverted to our caveman days, being Neanderthals, and have no discipline whatsoever, there would be way more violence. So that's why God gave us a brain. That's why we have a guide to go by, which is called the Bible. Majority of morals in this earth and a lot of the laws that man has made, it mirrors what the Bible says as far as how you should conduct yourself, no matter what your role is, because the man's role on this earth is different than the woman's role, right? And in every country, in every culture, it's a little bit different, the responsibilities and obligations, but there is a structure, there always is. And the structures that you need to get away from are the ones that man says that you can do or is okay, because that's just false. That's just pure false. The only structure that is viable for a happy future and blessings that you're going to receive throughout your life for your partnership, your relationship, your family, whatever it is from God's rules. All you got to do is read and follow the Bible. It starts with the 10 Commandments, and there's many, many, many stories and examples in the Bibles of what how you should conduct yourself and how you should raise your children, everything, right? Without that core base understanding and having a discipline of basically a curriculum from God, a guide, right? Without that, you're a mindless leaf in the wind that's going to be subjected to all kinds of terrible, terrible things that are going to happen to your life. And don't tell me any different. I mean, I've seen so many throughout my entire 60 years on this earth, and really the last 40 years after being 20 years old. I've seen so many disasters and some good families and relationships. So, but the majority of the time, even if you look it up on statistics in Google, which I don't totally agree with, but even if you do that, you're going to be shocked as to the rate of divorce. It's between 50 and 75% worldwide. Mostly, it's the worst in first world countries because the power and the money is much higher there for people. And like I say, once a person experiences power and money, they go crazy, and that's the truth. I mean, it's the same way this is another huge subject, right? Filipinos going to America or Australia or Europe or whatever, unless that Filipina has extreme discipline and a deep faith in Christ, she's gonna go crazy too, because the man's law in these countries are you can divorce your husband anytime you want. If anything goes wrong or you come discouraged or whatever, if your relationship, you can just leave him, take at least half of all his money and destroy it all, and then he has to pay you, and if you have children, he has to pay you money every month. A lot of people take that evil escape. It's very sad, but that's the way it is in the world. And in the Philippines, there's none of that, no divorce, right? So your relationship survives through the ups and the downs, right? I mean, you can go through a terrible time in your relationship, and it's all a learning experience. It's a discipline growing, and it makes you grow as a person of how to take hard times and how to then, take care of your obligation of your relationship through hard times. And you know what? This world hasn't seen hard times until. So, I mean, just imagine yourself in the middle of a war zone like World War II, World War I, where entire villages and cities were just bombed out of existence, and you lose everything. I mean, everything, right? And a lot of people lost family members too to all this violence and war. War is the worst thing there ever is. And there's a lot of it happening now, and the whole world's starting to go crazy with wars everywhere. So my advice is get to a safe place, use God's word, the Bible, as your guide to do the best that you can. Sure, we're all going to fail. We're all going to make mistakes, and we're all going to, get drunk once in a while or whatever that our carnal man gets discouraged and wants to do. But you know what? That's why Christ died for us, and ask for forgiveness and try to do better in the future for yourself and your family. So that's what I'm just telling you, my situation. I mean, there's all kinds of regrets that you're going to have throughout your life, but you know what? That's why I'm in the Philippines. I mean, things, you can see it, and my spirit was led here. After my second wife died of cancer, this is the place to be, to get away from that whole system. So it's absolutely gorgeous here this morning, and just another day in the kickback life. I mean, sure, there's lots of work. I'm pretty darn busy here, just on small jobs. I had to replace one of the light bulbs up on the wall there the other day. And not only the bulb, but the whole fixture, the whole light itself was all rusted from 6 years of constant rain and sun, and everything starts to rust. I try to put an extra coat of paint on stuff, but it does help. It does help preserve. But the UV rays from the sun, and then rain, sun, good luck, because in the Philippines, it's hard on everything. If it's metal, it's not protected, it's going to rust. That's why a lot of people use stainless here, but stainless is so expensive, right? So good luck with that. If you have a project, I mean, it's huge money to use. That's why all the railings that I used in the stair system, I did not go with stainless. Just imagine, that would have been another million pesos, another 20,000 plus US dollars if I would have went with all stainless. Probably even more than that. So I used regular metal, and I tried to weatherproof it the best I could with epoxy primer and paint. And you still have to, every year, you know, some places gonna rust, so you gotta brush it out, repaint it, you know, stuff like that. It's just the same thing if you have a house anywhere. You know, the weather, the elements, after a while, are gonna beat things down and make it degrade, so you gotta touch it up once in a while. So a lot of the trim, I've been trimming a lot of trees here around the property. I trimmed this calamansi tree. I keep saying calamari. It's not a calamari, it's calamansi fruits. It's like a lime that grows on this tree. And you know, these here trees here, it's a beautiful flower that comes out. A big storm will come by, and this whole thing will droop down, and so I recut it. I've cut this thing completely down to this level, 3-foot level, several times, and within 3 months, it's all growing back, and you got flowers again. So yeah, it's constant taking care of all your flowering garden in the Philippines. So yeah, absolutely gorgeous. I mean, look at this. Absolutely gorgeous. And things grow like this, like they're going out of style, because the temperature is perfect temperature here to grow anything. So we harvested most of our bananas now. These last few weeks we had a big huge banana harvest, and now we're doing the coconut harvest, and a lot of our papaya we've harvested now too. There's not many of those left, but so it'll be another couple months before we get some more papaya. But that's just the way it is in the Philippines. I mean, you have fruit trees coming up the yin yang. I mean, they're everywhere. No, you're never gonna starve here. That's why I love the Philippines. So I highly suggest you come here. The laws are good for freedom. The weather is perfect for growing anything you ever want to grow in your life. Year round, it grows. You're on being on these islands. You're close to so many things. I mean, you saw my other videos with fish, lobster, shrimp, crab, any kind of seafood you ever wanted. You know, just along the roadside, the Filipinos they're mom and pop little stands, right? They'll go out and fish during the night and come in, and then some of the family will sell it throughout the day. And that's the same with fresh sweet corn or you name it. I mean, there's mom and pops everywhere. That's why it's not controlled by massive corporations here. It's all mom and pops stores, majority of it, throughout all the islands and the provinces. Just in the big cities, you got the same stuff that you can find, you know, in the Western world, like McDonald's and, you know, KFC, stuff like that, right? And some of the bigger malls are some of the brand names you can get in the U.S., but it's mostly mom and pops, and that's what I like, and it's all cash. You know, it's the only time you can use a credit card if you go to the big cities again, right? Otherwise, it's throughout all the 7,000 islands that are inhabited. Some of those islands aren't inhabited, but most of them are, and it's all cash, right? So and you don't need anything You that's why the Filipinos are the way they are. They don't have a worry in the world on a lot of stuff that the first world has to worry about because there's food readily available. They just go out each day and catch some food, which would be catching some fish, or going in the jungle and grabbing some fruits, or they'll need a little bit of money sometimes. But if they're a fisherman, they'll sell their fish. They'll get the money. They'll buy rice, or maybe if you're a rice farmer, you're just working your fields all the time, and then you'll sell your rice. And then if you need anything after you've sold your rice, you have the cash to go get what you need. So that's the way it works here because it's all agricultural and fishing, 90%. So that's what's great about this country. It's like a throwback to the way it was in the first world countries in the early days. That's why I love it. Okay, tubers, I don't want to take any more of your morning up. Love you guys. Take care of yourselves, and God bless. Bye-bye.